Manuel Cransing there with a roving report. He's somewhere around the capital again with another report. He'll come through with that. But right now, let's digest the figures for the third quarter. And I'm talking about road crash reports. The Director of Education, Research and Training with the MTTD, Superintendent Alexander Kwekobing, is here. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And this is from January to September 2020. We're going to compare to the same period last year. And I was just running through the cumulative reports. First of all, maybe I should get you to do a summary for us. How does it look? But I'm thinking that it doesn't look so positive, does it?
Thank you very much, and good morning to viewers. I think a cursory look, a bird eye view, clearly indicates to any detailed reader that the road safety problem that confront us, that normally undermine our public health and safety, is surging as compared with the same period last year. And in particular, if you look at it in terms of when we moved from the first quarter to the second quarter, where we were confronted with the COVID, which resulted in many of us getting restricted in our homes. Post-COVID, I might say, or post-restriction period of COVID has led to astronomical surge in road crashes, leading to more accidents being recorded as compared to last year, and vehicles involved in these crashes increasing more than last year, and associated injured persons have in fact generally also increased, and then deaths of compatriots have also increased. So if you look at all the indicators, it doesn't look good. But generally, when you look in it, you realize that vehicles involved in these crashes, vehicles that got involved in these crashes, the private vehicles slowed marginally.
Okay. So less private vehicles
getting involved in crashes as compared to commercial vehicles and motorcycles.
Okay.
And if you look at the vehicles user class, you observe that the percentile increase, particularly with motorcycles, be it tricycles or quadricycles or motorbicycles, increased worryingly by 16.55% as compared to commercial vehicles that increased 4.9%, and private vehicles decreasing by 1.42%. So you can obviously see that the impact of motorcycles is getting worried by the day since 2 years ago. Because if you look at the deaths, which stands at 1,824 at the end of September, motorcycles accounted for 712, private vehicles accounted for 411, and commercial vehicles accounted for 690. And you look at it in terms of numbers. See, I mentioned the percentage. If 17,663 vehicles were involved in these crashes, private vehicles accounted for 7,203. Commercial vehicles accounted for 6,618. Motorcycles, and I've mentioned the types, accounted for 4,022. But these few, if we compare with private and commercial, the motorcycles seems to be dwarfed, but they killed more. Okay, it's also obvious that because these vehicles have open sizes and occupants are exposed to threat of fatalities or injuries because they are exposed to the hard surfaces and they get crushed, and there are not much restraint, no seat belts, nothing, and all that. So the motorcycle has become a problem that lacks also adequate solution, and therefore we need to continue to find appropriate ways, since motorcycle, be it three-wheeler or two-wheeler, has become diurnal part of our routine.
Yeah. I'll pick up on the motorcycle issue just to also summarize what you've been talking about. So 16.5% increase in motorcycle accidents, 1.82% increase in accident generally. There's a decline in pedestrian knockdown, 5.25% increase in persons killed as a result of accident, 1.32% increase in persons injured. So in terms of traffic offenses, driving without license also came tops with 558 cases. What is it that, and we're still comparing these figures to that of last year's same period, what has changed?
Basically, when you look at the impact of crashes, one significant part of this is that looks as if the media support targeting the pedestrians as a result of these campaigns and all that, and the problem that emerged, and advocacy for pedestrian facilities on our roads has led to positive outcome.
Okay, so that's why we see the decline in the pedestrian knockdown.
However, at the same period, it has been compensated for by the motorcycle surge. And that's why, otherwise, with the 14% reduction in pedestrian knockdowns and deaths, naturally, accident and its impact on lives and property would have decreased, because we proud to hear anytime 100 people got killed, at that time 42 were pedestrians. Now it seems the equation is changing, but motorcycle is compensating for a worry. We also have to look at it in terms of the COVID impact. You observe that the COVID came with some protocols from the health officer, and that was global, that we have to physically distance ourselves a bit. And it impacted also on traffic enforcement, because traffic enforcement in our part of this globe is basically physical deployment, physical inspection, touching, and all that. And so with the protocol to socially distance, refrain from touching, among others, it became clear that fewer police officers were also deployed to look at, to arrest those who were doing all manner of things as compared to last year. And the deterrence, I believe, also minimal deterrence also impacted. And therefore, you could see that though we are looking at the figures in terms of offenses and those that we have put before court, but it seems to be a bit on the lower side as compared to last year. However, I think in spite of the challenges we have with the COVID, and given the recalcitrant nature of some of our road users, police was forced to deploy to detect, arrest, and prosecute, to the extent that so far 1,744 Ghanaians have been convicted for varying road offenses. And you mentioned one being those who are on train and are behind steering wheel as unlicensed persons. Otherwise could have killed so many people if they are not being arrested. 20 of them were jailed by the courts, because we also observed that the court even has its own protocol saying that some of these things should not be entertained at the court. But given the seriousness of some of the behaviors that these repeat offenders and recalcitrant road users are putting up, the court sat and looked into the matter. And so far, 28 have been confined to the Gola. To jail, obviously, tells us that with the letter that police is doing, it is also impact again. In all this, the court has imposed about 965,000 Ghana cedis on these offenders.
965,000
as court fines.
Okay, how much of that was actually paid?
Oh, so far, 952,140 Ghana cedis have been paid into the consolidated fund to serve as deterrent and also to refrain those who committed these offenses from repeating it. And so, for us, this is where we are. One significant aspect of this data has to do with gender.
Okay. And
I think it is instructive and important that in this discussion we look at it. I'm saying that with the 1,824 that have been killed in Ghana on our roads between January and September this year, you have a census details that was recently done. I think 2012 we did a national census. It came out that of every 100 population in Ghana, 51 are women and 49 are men. So it means that the women are more than the male counterparts, and anything that has to do with the outward interaction, communication on a public road or public place, we expect that if that is it, then generally we expect that the impact will be felt more on women. But that's not the case, because our empirical analysis have shown clearly that our female counterparts are more deterrent, more disciplined, compliant, and in the process, if you see the 1,824, only one death is one too many. If you have a larger population be impacted minimally by 362 deaths, as compared to the fewer who are supposed not to have died, amounting to 1,462. Obviously, it is clear that of any 100 deaths, about 80 are men. And if you go into it, why? It is not rocket science. It is behavioral. It is the way people are taking care of their vehicles and deploying unsafe vehicles on the road, handled either supervised by men and handled by motorists who are males, and the way they behave on the road space, how they don't comply with certain principles, including speed, including changing lane, including following distances, including managing disabled vehicles, including non-compliance with protective clothing, including non-wearing of crash helmets on motorbike, and among these counterparts as vehicle occupants not wearing seatbelts, and the way many males are driving distracted with one hand holding phone, WhatsApping, Facebooking.
So the women are better. The women are better.
Not that better.
More disciplined.
Ghanaian male road users naturally are supposed to copy. We want them to copy their female compatriots, because it looks as if the attitude that we have come up with from our infancy from home, the same attitude, which is so abhorrent, which is so tyrannical, which is so make people feel, may feel as if they are advantaged and therefore can do anything, and therefore you see them manifesting it the way they handle women. The same attitude is what we are seeing men bringing it on our road space. But the road space doesn't tolerate that attitude, that patriarchal attitude that I'm a man. It's not true, but that nothing can happen to me. the way we handle women. You see, so I know if the literature and practice show that men mostly abuse women, and that kind of abusive attitude is the same attitude they bring on the road, and that attitude of abusiveness has nothing, and it's not a bedfellow of road traffic regulation and all that, but they do it. But in the end, they thought that the women could not handle them and they abuse them. But on the road will abuse you, because if you don't maintain your vehicle well, if you don't handle the vehicle the way you have been taught by the driving instructor, consistent with the ethics and ethos of driving and the essence of the license and all that, you expose yourself in danger. And of course, men thought that they could not be touched, but the road is touching them, and we are exposed big time. That in Ghana, of every 100 deaths, though women are many in terms of population, more men die. Of every 100, 80 men are dying. Why? Is it that the vehicle crashes? You think women don't travel? You think that women don't cross the road? You think that women don't board motorbikes? You think that women are not passengers? Or you think that women don't drive? No, they do. But they are more careful. Why? Because they look left and right before they cross. They make sure that when there are footbridges, they try as much as possible to walk there and cross. They know that when they are on vehicles, they wear seatbelts. And they know that when they are on motorbike, they wear crash helmet. They know, they are aware, and they put in practice that when they are driving, they know very well that they were taught that when one way to die is mismanaging your speeding behavior, and that women do it this way, that the instructors taught them that when you are about in urban environment, irrespective of the nature of the road, don't move above 50 kilometers per hour on your speedometer. They watch carefully and they drive on in the left lane and they move rightly. If it's the right lane, they move rightly and they don't take it. They don't engage in excessive speeding. When their vehicle breaks down, they make sure that they get assistance, but before the assistance comes, they will deploy their warning triangle. And among others, you see women the way they sit, their posture. A woman will not move a vehicle without seatbelt. Not that they are indolent. No, because they comply with the best practice which protects all. And
so you seem very impressed with how generally the female's attitude towards riding on the road, and that shows in the figures. That's why you're calling on men to copy.
No, just copy. Don't. But see, in copying, we still carry on with our high horse attitude. That these people, they don't know anything. He's not brave. That's what we use to rationalize why, But the thing is that I'm saying copy because at the end of the day, this year, January to September, many men have been exposed that 1,462 have died. And don't tell me that only men got out on the road space. That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
majority of road users between January and September this year were women in Ghana. But they took care of themselves because they are very much, exposed to the best road safety practices in terms of sensitization. They imbibe it and they put it in practice.
Great.
And not my compatriots who will go and get drunk, who will go on tramol, who will go and take weed, who will take cocaine and get drunk, binge drinking, and in the night they move about and their vehicle breaks, they don't do anything about it. You see a man driving a vehicle and you go and put some yama things on it and be facing oncoming vehicle and call himself, I'm a big man. Do you know me? And they drive facing oncoming vehicle and they crash head-on. Let me give you an example. When you look at the private vehicles, you see we have SUVs, and the SUV by the end of this quarter, the SUVs they call V8s. V8s. SUVs, 2,040 have been crashed. It tells you, obviously, that you cannot come on the road space with your, when I was growing up, they call something your deviality. You see what I mean? Not talk, say I'm a politician, I'm an engineer, I'm a journalist, I'm a police officer, I'm a a farmer, I'm a chief. No, the road doesn't know profession. It knows a well-cultured, trained driver who is permitted under Section 53 of our Road Traffic Act 683 and has been qualified and licensed as such to handle that particular class of vehicle, and at all times in traffic, demonstrating theoretically in traffic skills so that he will ensure that the road is professionally and safely shared, ensuring that he drives defensively and respecting the rights of other road users. So that in Ghana since 1974, when we have said we drive on the right, and your following distance should be such that you don't take it and that you don't unlawfully or change lane and face oncoming vehicles in curves and on hills and on crests and all that. If you put all this practice, this will happen. But majority of my compatriots, sorry that I'm also a male, but that is our nature.
Yeah.
And we must copy those that we think are weak but not. They are capable. They are more responsible.
Thank you for this call. I wanted to also ask about how we regulate the motor riders today, because they seem to be causing a lot of trouble, and the figures also show in this report. So how do we currently regulate their operations?
You see, what we are looking at is that motorcycle use has become pronounced. You see, the country has been overwhelmed. And the earlier we recognize that we have one road safety problem, which is the major road safety problem in Ghana, the better for us. We have a road safety problem. Well, nobody should hide. You can't hide it. That acquisition of motorcycle is simple, affordable, and within the means of many Ghanaians. That is the first point. Two, because of our systemic problems with public transport vis-a-vis road, motorable roads, and accessibility, motorcycle use has become a diurnal part of Ghanaians, both in urban environment, peri-urban, and rural, and of course farm states. It has become economic tool. It has become transport, and it has become an extension of our communication. And it is accessible, and it is available, and it is affordable, and even within the means of the poor. And without it, people are constrained to using their foot in many parts or carrying their load on their heads. And that is why it has become an attractive thing in Ghana now. And it is. We can be so sentimental to look at it in whatever we look at it. But whatever it is what I'm talking about. So everywhere you go, as we are speaking, you are moving left, right, and either as a private or using it as dispatch or carrying passengers.
So how do we deal with them today?
So with this issue as confronting us, and we are aware, we cannot sit aloof. No country with this kind of characteristics in terms of motorcycle.
So what you're saying is that what we're seeing now, we're not regulating, because there's no way to regulate how it's playing out today.
Regulating certain aspects of it. The aspects you may be regulating may be safety protocols. And then the safety protocol, wearing of crash helmets, sensitization, and the registering, and ensure that only those who are licensed are driving it. That adults 18 years and above. But even that, there are challenges there. And so we think that much attention has been paid.
Okay.
And I think that a lot of discussion must go into it. A lot of studies must go into it. We cannot throw them as and say that no.
Well, fortunately, it's become one of the important issues because of the political campaign.
If within January to August, it has killed 712, as compared to private that has killed 411, and commercial killing 690, and motorcycle being fewer and killing more. It is obvious that, and it is progressing. The whole of last year, we lost compatriots up to about 780 by motorbike. Okay, and this year, with the 1,824, it has already claimed over 700. That is a large chunk. In those days, we could say that that was what pedestrian, how traffic was impacting on pedestrian. Now it has taken over, even over and above commercial vehicle, over and above private. And I think that with this road safety problem being motorbike and was also envisaged as such when UN promulgated Decade of Action for Road Safety in 2010, and it is hitting us back because not much has been done. I think that it is a wake-up call, and we must do something about it.
Okay, so, you know, it's also in the spirit of our campaign, Arrive Alive, we wanted to share the figures with you as the police is sharing with us as well, so that we're not just talking, we're not just showing you visuals sometimes, we're not just reporting on accident, but it's claiming a lot more lives. There are many others who have been injured in the process, who are not able to get back to work. So thank you very much. We will be picking up on the figures that you've shared. This is just the first leg of this conversation with the figures. So, but just before we go, there's one more thing that my producer wants me to clear in terms of what is resulting in the accident. Is it the roads? Is it the cars?
I think in the process, I mentioned a lot of them.
Because you've talked about the attitudes.
When I look at the attitudes, however, let me also advocate. It's very important that in the midst of this, when you look at where some of these crashes occur involving commercial and private vehicles, we could have prevented it. And the more we make investment in that area to help us. One area that I want, as a country, we look at is that wherever we can get support, let us get it and dualize our road from Aflao to Accra to Elubo. And let us try as much as also dualize from here, the N6 one through Kumasi, Swami Runabout to Offenso, all the way to Bupi, Tamale, Boga, and Paga. If you are able to do that, we will reduce road crashes that are headlong, that claim more life, almost about 60%. Having said that, I will also admonish that moving on, we must try as much as possible to invest in areas that will assist the state to have capacity and the support from the private partners to come and remove broken down vehicles on these single carriages that people run into and die such painful death. And finally, we know that there are high-risk commercial drivers who need adequate training. That has been the vision of Ghana since 2012 in the Road Traffic Regulation 2012 Regulation 33. And I think that driver retraining has to be revisited, particularly the high-risk commercial driver who embark on intercity journeys. When we are able to arrest these three to a very large extent and you support us with this campaign, I know you can achieve much for Ghana.
Thank you very much for your time. And that's the Director of Education, Research and Training at the MTTD, Superintendent Alexander Kweku Obeng, on our Arrive Alive campaign, as we've shared the figures with you. Right now,